Good evening. Thank you for joining. I'm just setting up the technical stuff here and we'll begin in like 1 minute. So give me that time, please. Lovely, lovely. I think we are live, just about getting started. So good, cool. It's 8, so let's start with our episode 2 of our sounding board series. Today is quite critical because we highlight the gap up trap. What happens when the market opens strong after a big gap down, and when everybody is rushing in. Is it actually happening? I mean, is the market, has the sentiment really changed or has it not changed? Okay, so let's explore what is the real story behind the price action that follows. Okay, so let's see what happened today. It's quite critical to understand. And again, like I always say, key, before you react or act in the market, it is very important for you to understand key whatever that you're feeling, you must be able to speak it out with somebody. To somebody should be acting as your sounding board. And when you have someone who's acting as your sounding board, then it becomes much easier for you to take those decisions and see if there is a fallacy. Otherwise, what happens is ki you inherently, all of us rely on our own knowledge, and that becomes a problem, right? So today, as we see, what has happened? So we had a whole week. This whole week, the market was going down, going down. Today, it opened gap up, and it actually went up. So now the question for all of us is that, is it a structural shift or is it just a short covering bounce? Because as soon as you see gap up, immediately everybody starts thinking ki bhaiya, it's a gap up, bas bhagne wala hai market, and it is going to run into the next hurdle, which is the next resistance. And if I'm not invested at this point of time, I am going to lose out. So it is, in short, it's called greed. Okay, so today's session is about validating if you chase the opening gap or if you really waited for a settled setup. So let's look at the logic behind the recovery, right? So let's start it. So today the market actually opened up. Both Nifty and Sensex opened with a significant gap up. Okay, almost Sensex went up 414 points, and it was driven by gift Nifty's cues in a temporary cooling in global panic. So just because somebody said in Iran that, or in fact, just when Trump said, somebody from Iran is reaching out to us to negotiate for peace, बस उतना बोलने का जरूरत था, and everybody in gift Nifty was buying a lot. Same cheese happened, but with the US market, it was much more structural because the earnings were good. Again, the risk perception was down, so US market actually rallied in the later half of the day yesterday. So I don't know what is happening right now, but I'm sure at this point, what I had seen earlier, US market was actually down because the futures were down. So that was that. But when we opened up today morning, today's our market was up 414 points. Sensex was up 414 points. Nifty was up 1.33%. Okay, both Nifty and Sensex. So basically, we thought it's a gap up, and bulls actually held the opening gains and extended them. So we thought that that Sensex is gonna keep the milestone, which is the 80K milestone, and the Nifty will keep the 24,800K milestone, which were their immediate resistances as well. But did that happen? Did that happen to the end? Let's talk about Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty closed at 59,200, plus 0.5%. The banks were a weak link because obviously the broader market is thinking ki bhai, there is going to be an interest cut, there might not be an interest cut now. So the banks were the weaker link in today's market. So, and that is the reason that the banking index struggled to keep pace. But also the fact that for last 2 days banking index has been divergent. जहाँ पे भी निफ्टी और सेंसेक्स गिर रहे थे, बैंक निफ्टी was not falling as much. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ी बात थी. फिर ट्रंप और उसकी टीम ने कल शाम को बोलना शुरू कर दिया कि देयर इज एन इनडायरेक्ट टॉक हैपनिंग बिटवीन यूएस एंड ईरान. ओके, अब ये दिस इज जस्ट अ लूज एंड. ये हम लोगों ने यू कैन सी, यू कैन गो लुक एट मोर न्यूज हियर, बट यू रियलाइज दैट दिस टॉक वाज नेवर एक्चुअली गोइंग टू हैपन. ये कभी होने ही नहीं वाली थी. सो दिस टॉक हैज नॉट हैपेंड. ईरान ने तो दूसरे दिन बोल दिया कि ब्रो वी आर नॉट गोना टॉक विद यू, हमें कोई जरूरत नहीं है बात करने की. सो जो ये वॉर प्रीमियम था, विच इज वॉर प्रीमियम on the PE side or on the negative side, आज प्राइस आउट हो गया. सो व्हाट हैपेंड इज जैसे ही लोगों को लगा कि ये वॉर खत्म होने वाली है एंड थोड़ी सी स्टेबिलिटी इन द ब्रेंट क्रूड प्राइस भी देखी, बिकॉज एट $82 पर बैरल ऑयल स्टॉप्ड, रुक गया और स्लाइड नहीं हुआ. सो देन एवरीबडी थॉट कि देयर इज एक्चुअली सम डेप्थ टू दिस टॉक. एंड बेसिक रीजन फॉर द होल ऑफ द निफ्टी एंड Sensex going up was this. Okay, so the oil didn't crash, but it stopped rising. This gave rupee a little bit of breather. So rupee also recovered from 92 point something yesterday, 4, which was the highest that it hit yesterday, and it recovered to 91.6. Okay. Now, obviously, we have to also understand that after 4 days of continuous sellings, bears were forced to buy back their positions, because जैसे ही थोड़ा सा market ऊपर जाता है, people want to what do you say, get as much money as possible out of their positions. So basically this is also something called as a forced buying, because the market actually went up on the sentiment, and the sentiment carried it. So there was a lot of short covering, and that's why the market also rallied up. There was also fresh DII buying. So we have seen the last 3 sessions say DIIs have been buying excessively. First session में उन्होंने 24,000 खरीदा. Yesterday also they bought 24,000 crores, and today I'm sure they must have bought a little bit more. So this is a little bit of a problem when everybody of us is rushing. And why are they buying? क्योंकि हम लोग अगर जाके बोलते हैं भाई buy on the dips, हमारे DNA में डाल दिया buy on the dips. आपका ब्लड ग्रुप भी कोई चेक करे तो पता लगेगा buy on the dip ही है ब्लड ग्रुप. Okay, B on D positive maybe. So everybody is buying on dips, and that is why maybe the DIs are also buying. And it is predictable. अगर आप charts में ठीक से देखोगे, you can see a fair amount of buying which starts right before 3 o'clock when the market is at its low, or because they are always chasing the least NAV. उनको अपने clients के लिए least NAV चाहिए होता है. Okay, but if you look at the fundamentals, nothing has actually changed. The oil, the Strait of Hormuz, which was the biggest reason because of which the oil has not really moved, has not officially opened. The risk has not gone. Iran war has not yet subsided. कुछ भी ऐसा कुछ change हुआ नहीं. There are fresh missile barrages being fired upon Israel, fired upon all the neighboring countries in the Gulf region by Iran. And Iran के ऊपर तो bombing, carpet bombing चल ही रही है. And similarly, Trump and his team have not stopped chest thumping. Yesterday अगर आप लोगों ने Pete Hegseth, जो उनके डिफेंस सेक्रेटरी है, उसकी स्पीच सुनी होती, ही वॉज वेरी वेरी अनकाइंड अबाउट द फैक्ट कि उन्होंने एक इंटरनेशनल वाटर्स में ईरानियन शिप को विदाउट वार्निंग दे संक इट. ओके, that ship was in India's guest. It had come here for a naval exercise, and one of the submarines from US sunk that ship. So that's not a great posturing. और अगर आप उसकी स्पीच सुनोगे पीट हेक्सेट की, तो इट साउंडेड लाइक ही इज ट्राइंग टू bully, he's trying to be a bully. So the overall risk, basically what I'm trying to say is that the overall risk of the market, of the oil, has not really gone. Okay, but the market was bullish today because of because market को बड़ी आदत है, everybody buys the news or sells the news खत्म होने से पहले ही लोग काम कर लेते हैं. My view about the market tomorrow as well is that it's going to be neutral to mildly bullish. In fact, it could also turn, because the bearish momentum can pick up again as well, because nothing has basically changed. So market fundamentals do not change. So people will start taking new short positions as well. And in fact, jitni bhi short giving up honi thi, wo aaj ho chuki hogi. So most likely that exhaustion would have come through already. So we today, if you look at the charts, strictly technically speaking, we have a bullish piercing pattern on the daily chart. And however, but we are still trading below the 50-day moving average. Okay, so the strategy of buy on the dips is back on the table for intraday, but for positional trading, I don't think we can actually trust it. The Nifty needs to be clear of 25,100 with volume to be able to say कि कुछ change fundamental हुआ है. As at this point, nothing has changed. Okay, so the market reacted today, but it was not because something fundamental changed. It was just a technical or a tactical uh, investment action. Okay, so let's talk about some levels and sectors and outliers. Okay, so today's Nifty's pivot was support and resistance at 24,600. Okay, and for tomorrow, the support will be 24,600 and the resistance will be 25,050. It is going to be a big wall to scale. 25,000 को scale करके उसके ऊपर close करना is going to be a big task. In my opinion, it might not happen, but let's see how this turns out. US futures are negative. They might not stay negative all night. Like at this point, they seem like negative. Okay. Bank Nifty was pivoting. The support tomorrow you can expect at 58,600 and the resistance at 60,500. So Bank Nifty did not react as well as you would expect it to, because obviously it was contrary. The position was contrary for so many days. So इसीलिए tomorrow you can see that Bank Nifty might actually work with the indices, or it might not. But let's see. That is for tomorrow to see. Anyways, I think agar aaj, if you guys seeing the market, because there were many questions throughout the day, people who were asking me, bro, should we buy the C's and P's? Sorry, should we buy the C's? Thinking, anticipating that the market is going to be positive tomorrow. My 2 cents on that move is that maybe not at this point, no, because options, again, as I said, you should not indulge with options as your investment. It is just a hedge. तो अगर आपको पोजिशनल ट्रेड्स लेना है तो उसको hedge करने के लिए आप ऑप्शंस यूज कर सकते हो, बट टू से कि ऑप्शंस कल ट्रेंड के हिसाब से चेंज हो जाएगा एंड इट विल गिव यू मनी, आई थिंक that's a little bit of a gamble. Okay, so what were the sectors today that actually performed? Metals and CPSE hit a 52-week high. In fact, plus 3%. Metals were up 2.2%. The logic obviously is value hunting, because yesterday the metals were the biggest beaters. Like they were down by minus 7.8%. So that is why metals actually went up today. The sector that went up on that day, which was expected to go up, was IT. But today, IT was not up. It was down 0.57%. It was simple. The reason that IT was down was because there was a lot of profit booking happening. Okay, and because the rupee strengthened, the IT safe haven wala appeal thoda sa kam ho gaya. So IT के साथ बहुत अभी there is no fundamental risk movement there. So it's not really moving in one direction. It is moving with the rupee. Now that is a little bit of a problem. Fundamentally, it's still weak. The case is, there is some outlier. LT Foods went up 15%. Uska simple reason yahi tha ki there was a strong earning prospect, low volumes and sectoral tailwinds made it to the top gainer. But you don't have to rely on that. I don't think it's a great case for a big investment. So that was for today, some sectors that went up. Okay, so again, this was in short how we covered, how we saw today's market move. If you were observing the market throughout the day, then you would have realized that the market started going up at around 2:30 and went up significantly by 3, but it was down after 3, because I think that attribution can only be given to the DIIs buying at that point of time. Okay, so if you were trading alone at that instant and you bought, I would suggest that you could in fact tune into our stream. We go live every day, every morning at 9:15 to 12:15. 4 hours live. We don't discuss which stock is going to go up, but we definitely act as a sounding board for your your decisions. So you should use us. कुछ भी करो, question लिखो, I have at least 7 questions that have been sent to me for this session. So I'm gonna, after this, I will talk about those questions as well. And the second session for the day starts at 2:30 and ends at 3:30 p.m. So it's basically thinking ki bhai, we will evaluate how the market actually moved from throughout the day and how was it at closing. So beginning and the closing. And at that point, many of the viewers ask us questions, and we say कि we are the sounding board. अगर आपको कोई भी हमसे input चाहिए, definitely we are here to help you out, right? तो it's just a sounding board. I'm not claiming कि मेरे से सही कोई नहीं है, okay? But the fact of the matter is कि एक second opinion होना बहुत important है, right? So I'm in pursuit of creating this sounding board community. Cool. So without much of wait, let me jump into some of the questions that were asked to me by some of the people. You can always email me the questions. I'm writing my email chat, email ID here, and keep them flowing as they come through. Great. Okay, so I have 7 questions today, so let's see how this works. So Arav said ki the market opened huge gap up, and I went long immediately. Was I too aggressive? Yes, as you would have seen by the end of the day, अगर आपने market में खुलते ही, as you saw, it was gap up, and you immediately went long, तो फिर आपको most likely you were not benefited. Like if you gave up the positions quickly, then that's a different story. But by the end of the day, you would not be profitable, because अगर आप options में deal कर रहे थे, so there was already a huge premium on CEs just for the fact that they opened up. And because the market was sideways almost throughout the day, so you would have lost the money. And then that spike came up, which would have given you a little bit money, but not so much. So was it worth the risk? I'm always asking the question ki buying a naked CE in a market where you're not sure of the direction, is it worth the risk for the 5 to 7%? If it is not, then I think you should definitely not be getting into long positions until you're sure that the trend has changed. Okay. That's that. I hope you can tune back in, Arav, and look at this question, and we'll see how that works out. Cool. So my second question is, second question is from Ishani. Okay, Ishani is asking ki my PSU stocks are finally green. Is it time to add more or just hold? So I don't know where they're green from. I don't know, Ishani, when did you buy these stocks? So I'm not sure कि आपने stocks कल खरीदे या पहले खरीदे. Because अगर पहले खरीदे होते तो definitely green तो है ही नहीं. For sure they are not green, right? Because you are what do you say? Because the market fell for last 2 days. So if your PSU bank stocks are finally green, congratulations. Maybe you've averaged them out over last 2 days by buying heavily. My opinion is that averaging is not a great strategy in a falling market, because if you don't know the bottom, then the market can go further down. Tomorrow, if you will be lucky, if this remain green tomorrow. So as of now, my thing is that please don't add more until you see that the trend has shifted. You can definitely hold on to them. Don't have to sell also tomorrow. Again, the trend is we are not sure how things are going to be. Cool. Great. And I think you can look at some resistance levels also, but I strongly would urge कि जब तक आपको clarity ना आए, please don't buy more. Okay. Let's move on to the third question. Third question is by who? By Vikram. Okay. So Vikram is saying that he has sold his IT stocks today to buy metals. Okay. Great. Now, is it a mistake? Vikram, IT was at its lowest, and in the falling market, आपने IT stocks बेच दिया जो already बहुत low था, and you went on to buy metals which were also at a low. So again, I don't think it is a move which is backed fundamentally. I While I understand that there is sectoral rotation, and it's important that you stay positive, in a great sector, but I think थोड़ा दिन wait कर सकते थे before the market recovered to be able to sell your IT stocks. IT story is not yet over, to be honest with you. ठीक है, मतलब इट्स द एक्सपेक्टेशन कि द एआई विल कम एंड टेक एवरीथिंग अवे इज एन एक्सपेक्टेशन. इसके ऊपर आईटी हैज टेकन अ लॉट ऑफ बीटिंग. 20% डाउन था लास्ट वीक में, but that does not mean that it will remain there, right? That news can change completely very, very fast. So my opinion is ki why would you get out of an IT stock which is almost Indian IT stocks dividends भी देते हैं आपको, so they are almost like a सोने का अंडा. तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उसको बेचो as of now, जब तक आपको clarity ना हो. Getting into metals was a good idea because metals yesterday suffered a lot. Some Tata Steel was, I think, down by -7% or something. So getting into metals was a good move. Getting into metals because you sold IT, I don't think that's a great move. So that's fair, no problem. You've done it. I hope you've not sold your entire portfolio, and you have something left to work with it. ठीक है, cool. So that's for Vikram. Like, guys, I keep saying this. आपको कभी भी कोई decision लेना है, I'm mostly live. Some of my sessions are running almost throughout the day. I start at 9:15 up to 12:15. So if you would like to, please drop me questions. I'm always publishing my email IDs. You treat me like a sounding board. Treat me like someone you would want to discuss before you make those decisions, and maybe I'll be able to help you out. Or if you don't want to talk to me, talk to somebody else also. Somebody else who understands and can give you a rational view. So it's important to work as a team, because you're actually fighting some great guys with a lot of money, the DIs and the FIs. So उनको आप कम मत समझो. You don't give them exits on your behalf. Cool. So the next question is by Ananya, who says that Nifty hits 24,800 today. Does this mean the war impact is over? No, Ananya, that definitely does not mean that the war impact is over. The war itself is not over. 24,800, I think, was just I think there was exhaustion, and there was profit booking by the bears, and that's why which is also called short covering. So uski wajah se the market went up today, but there was no definite upgradation in the fundamentals of the market. So the impact of the war is not over. Okay, one green day will not change the geopolitical crisis. So do not think that you need to add more positions. Just hang in there. Okay, I have two more questions. Let's take the penultimate. What is Thomas saying? Thomas is saying that Mazagaon dock, Adani ports went up today. So does that mean that the defense story is starting its second inning? I think defense is a good sector during the times of uncertainty. Okay, but will you see the rally that you saw during the time we saw the rally 2 years ago? That I think is a little bit hard. So if your expectation is that kind of rally, then no. My answer is no. But the defense story, again, just because of the fact that you are what do you say? Because the times are uncertain, defense and FMCG are expected to act as hedge against the falling market. So that's why defense is going up. But will it mean that defense will stay up? No, I don't think that's the right thing. Okay. So there is one more question. If you have, anybody, all of you who are listening, if you have questions, please let me know. Okay. The last question comes from Neha again. She says ki I missed the gap up entry and I wanted to stay in cash. क्या लिख रही हैं? Okay. Okay. So gap up entry miss करने के बाद I think she entered. So Neha, if you have entered because of your FOMO, okay, because you missed the gap up entry and there is going to be, like, if you're thinking कि gap up फिर से हो जाएगा कल, तो I think you should not do that. Okay, cash is also good. Liquid में चले जाओ, liquid fund खरीद के रख लो अपने पास. It doesn't matter. Be the last buyer. It's still okay to be, the last buyer at the top. Sorry, it's not okay to be the last buyer to be at the top. और फिर उसके बाद then you are, end up holding the bag. दूसरों का आप carry कर. जैसे today also if you see, one candle was about 700 points on Bank Nifty, which is it's not a fair candle, right? कोई ना कोई market play कर रहा है. Now, in that candle, where do you want to be? Do you want to be at the bottom of the candle or at the top of the candle? So I think all these investment decisions have to be researched and have to be timed well. The biggest thing is that they have to be timed well. So if you feel the FOMO, don't feel the FOMO. Join us tomorrow again at 9:15, and maybe you can ask me a question when you want to invest, and I can give you my view. But maybe that view will not match with what you think, but it will be a view that you might want to take on board and use for your thing. So that's great. Cool. So I have run out of 7 questions, and I see so many of you guys have joined in. So thanks a lot for being here with me. And I'll wait for a few more moments. I think somebody's typing a question, so let's get that out. And once that question is out, this is great. So then we can work it out. Okay, so not a question. Fair enough. It's okay. I think it's just a comment. Thank you for your kind views, Rohan. No problem. So this was the shorter version that we will do today. I hope you can watch it at your leisure whenever you want to watch it, and you are able to take a good decision about the market. Join me if you need to. Tomorrow 9:15, I'll be live here with you to support. Thanks a lot. Have a good night. Thank you for joining. Bye.